Okay, we're here with Zac Yang. We're starting to move towards the secondary school, the later years of secondary school, as we follow his journey towards Oxford University. We've talked about what he was into when he was growing up. We talked about how he was at the age of 12 when he arrived at the school where I was teaching. And now we're going to find out about what subjects he selected when it was time to make some choices about what to continue with as he went into his GCSE years and then as he went into his A-level years. So, Zac, all the way through Key Stage 3, so from 11 to 14, at the school where you were studying, you didn't really get much choice, and that's kind of normal. But when it got to the GCSE years, then you had a choice. So talk us through not only what you chose, but what inspired you to make those choices.
Yeah, so I first got like this taste of I would call freedom when I was entering Form 3 here. I knew that next year I would be able to choose the subjects I wanted to study. I can drop some subjects that I no longer interested in. And yeah, it was great. I was really excited that I could focus on really what I'm interested in. I've never really been a student who's just kind of infatuated with all the subject. I always had like favorites, preferences. And at that point, the subjects I wanted to drop was, yeah, were French and geography. And I was really excited to focus on the subjects that I would choose, which are art and history. And obviously now we can see that was a very important decision. Yeah, and there was actually a story at the beginning of Form 4, or I guess year 10. Um, yeah, because at the school I was in that year, art and history were actually in conflict with each other schedule-wise, so it wasn't really possible to choose both, and I was deeply devastated by that. And I remember I emailed my headmaster at that time, kind of the first night back from school. It was a very kind of emotionally charged email. I remember I was like, please, let me do this. This is my passion. And he very thankfully, yeah, allowed me to do that. So the arrangement was that I would do art for 2 years of GCSE, kind of alone, almost, yeah, unsupervised, um, in the attic of the school I was in. I would work there during the week, and at the end of the week, like at the end of a lesson, I would show the art teacher what I had worked on, and she would, yeah, assign me new works to work on.
Wow! So you basically did the art GCSE by yourself. Another sign, because that kind of independence in your academic studies is quite rare. Some students can do that. A lot of students can't manage that. It's another sign that you've always been really driven to achieve what you can academically. But what a great story as well, Zac.
Yeah.
The head teacher, he really he listened to you, and he took a chance on you there, didn't he? That's a lovely story for any student who finds himself in a similar situation. Oh no, I can't study both of those subjects because they're in the same block. They're in the same block of the timetable. Maybe you too can do what Zac did and go and ask the head teacher, look, I really care about this. Maybe I can study it by myself. And I mean, he was a great head teacher, wasn't he? And
Yeah.
in fact, he's a friend of mine. I shall tell him that how much you value that decision of his
Yeah.
there. That is the kind of email that a head teacher is very happy to receive. They get a lot of rubbish emails from students and parents, but to hear a student saying, I really want to do this, can you help me out? That's what they're there for. That's what they love if they're a good head teacher. So, you know, write that email to your head teacher and be inspired by Zac's story there. That's really wonderful to hear, Zac.
Yeah, and his decision did pay off at the end. You know, I got like an 8 or 9. I remember in GCSE for art, kind of just working by
Yeah.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
there we
absolutely
go.
worth it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You can follow this channel on YouTube by subscribing to it, and you will find out when I post more videos from this fascinating conversation with Zac. You can also find the link to my website in the description below. You can subscribe to my full video library where you can watch the entire conversation, all my other videos, and do activities with an AI tutor that will help you to develop your ideas, including helping you to develop your thoughts about whether you want to go to an elite university, helping you to prepare to go to an elite university. Were you a straight A student, Zac, or were you not a straight A student?
Yeah, I was never really a straight A student. I don't think, yeah, even in kind of the last 2 years of A level, there were ups and downs. And yeah, I think it's very important, therefore, for me to share my experience because there's so much kind of myth about what kind of people apply to Oxbridge. It's not like always the people who get straight A's. There are, but they are not the like the full image. Yeah, I think back then, as I said, I always had very specific interests, so I wasn't doing as well in uh like yeah in the sciences, say, than I was doing in like art, English, and history. But that wasn't an issue because I wasn't going to pursue those in higher education anyways. So as long as it's a decent mark, I could just put all my energy in things that actually interested me and kind of become the top in that field.
There we go. That must be wonderful to hear from many students who are like, oh, I'd love to go to a great university, but I didn't get all A's. Doesn't matter. There you go. Zac's story proves that you can do it. If you're passionate about your subject, about your field, just go for it. Yeah, it's great to hear, Zac.
I think like realistically, who is say an Oxford admissions officer going to choose someone who doesn't show as much kind of a depth of understanding or interest in the field, but is straight A kind of universally across, or someone who might not have straight A's but has showed a real kind of insight into the subject they're applying for. I think they're certainly going to choose the latter.
Absolutely. Now, it's very interesting, as you said a few minutes ago, that you chose history, you chose art when you had those choices at GCSE, and now you are studying, going off to study history of art. So, Zac, did you have some kind of master plan in the back of your head back then where you were thinking, I want to go and study history of art at Oxford. I'm going to study history and art now. Is that what was going on?
Absolutely not. Absolutely no, that was not what happened. Uh, in fact, I've never really had any sort of master plan of like the next, I don't know, 10 years onwards. Not really. I know there are people who do. I know there are parents who kind of just draw out the lives for their kids even when they were very young. But I don't think that's a really realistic approach to parenting or schooling. At least I don't think it shouldn't be universally applied. I think, education is such a personal thing, it's such an intimate thing. You really have to personalize it. And also, I think very importantly, in high school, it's important to, enjoy the education you receive and not be so distracted by what lies ahead in the future, which is, always uncertain. It's much better to just, do the things that you like now, and maybe you'll discover something that will really interest you and that you might actually want to pursue in the future, rather than kind of drawing out this kind of abstract plan that might be altered by, any kind of external circumstances that are unforeseen. I mean, I'm very much always have been a kind of, play it as a lace kind of person. I just do what I enjoy at the moment and see where it leads me. and well, it has led me to a great place. Yeah.
Yeah. And so let's go on and talk about your A level choices. Now, as I
Yeah.
said earlier on, at A level in the English system, you get full choice. You can study whatever you want. There's no compulsory subjects. So you're telling, so I know that you study history, art. You can tell us in a minute the other subjects you study, but you're telling me that when you selected your A levels, were you then planning towards, I might go to Oxford, or were you again just, I'm going to study the subjects that I really enjoy? What about selecting those A levels? Tell us about that, Zac.
Yeah, I think back then it was I want to study what I care about, regardless of what kind of institution I'm going in. I mean, I love the humanities, I love the arts, I love, yeah, history, politics, and English literature, history, and fine arts seem, pretty obvious to me. These are my callings. So yeah, I back then there wasn't a kind of ambitious plan to, break into elite institution.
Me too, Zac. Me too. As you're talking, my experience is very similar to yours. All the way through my school, I was just enjoying my academic
Yeah,
journey. I was enjoying what my teachers were giving me to read. I was enjoying maths as well. I enjoyed science. I enjoyed languages. I enjoyed pretty much everything. When it got to A levels, I selected the ones which I was really interested in. I did English, I did French, I did Latin.
okay.
All of those had a literary aspect to them, a linguistic aspect to them. And I kind of, but I wasn't thinking, I'm going to go to an elite university. No, just like you, I was thinking, I want to study what I really enjoy. So, yeah, I think I completely agree with you about just selecting the stuff you enjoy, not worrying overly about the future. And it kind of links, doesn't it, Zac, to the conversation we were having earlier about parents and about one of the best things that parents can do is support you in what you want to do and not be
Yeah,
pushing you in the direction they want you to go. Again, here with these decisions, one of the best things you can do is to do what you want to do rather than
yeah,
to have some kind of as you say, some kind of quite abstract plan mapped out, a
yeah,
plan that could easily be derailed by hundreds of thousands of different kinds of circumstances.
yeah.
Just go with what you're enjoying. Go with your love of learning, really.
Yeah, I think in education you really need to have the sense of agency and independence and intrinsic motivation. And elite institutions, they love people like that. That's the type of kind of personality they're looking for, I would say, if anything.
I completely agree. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, super stuff. Like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can find out the next time we post a segment of this fascinating conversation talking about Zac Yang's experience of getting ready for an elite university. Next up, we're getting closer to the present day. Zac's going to talk to us about selecting a university and a course to study.